incredible journey at the 2026 FIFA World Cup has officially come to an end, and what a heartbreaking ending it was. After one of the most dramatic matches of the tournament, England fought back to claim a 2-1 victory, ending Norway's dream of reaching the next stage. The final whistle brought celebrations for England, but for Norway, it marked the end of a campaign that very few people will forget anytime soon. While the result was painful, this story is about much more than one defeat. It's about a team that arrived with little expectation, surprised millions of football fans, and proved that Norwegian football is entering a brand new era. Before this World Cup even kicked off, Norway wasn't among the teams most experts were talking about. The spotlight was firmly on traditional football giants like England, Brazil, France, Argentina, and Spain. Norway was often viewed as a dangerous outsider at best, but very few believed they could make a deep run in the tournament. Many people even claimed that if Erling Haaland didn't produce something special, Norway would struggle to compete with the world's elite. Those predictions would not age very well. Game after game, Norway quietly changed the conversation. Instead of relying on one superstar, they played as a united team. They defended with confidence, attacked with purpose, and refused to be intimidated by bigger football nations. Every strong performance earned them more respect, and with each passing round, more fans around the world began paying attention. What started as an underdog story slowly turned into one of the biggest surprises of the entire tournament, with many neutral supporters cheering for Norway to keep their incredible journey alive. That is exactly why this defeat against England hurt so much. It wasn't simply another team being knocked out of the World Cup. It was the end of a story that had captured the imagination of football fans everywhere. Norway didn't just participate in this tournament. They made people believe they could challenge anyone. Even though their World Cup dream has now come to an end, the impression they left on the competition may last much longer than anyone expected. When the tournament began, Norway simply wasn't part of the conversation surrounding the biggest favorites. Most predictions focused on the usual football powerhouses. England was expected to make a deep run. France was once again considered one of the strongest teams in the world. Brazil, Argentina, Spain, and Portugal all received plenty of attention. Norway, on the other hand, was often mentioned as a team that might be difficult to play against, but very few believed they could become one of the stories of the tournament. That lack of attention wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Without the pressure that comes with being a favorite, Norway quietly focused on their own game. There were no huge expectations from the international media, no constant headlines predicting glory, and no one placing them among the teams most likely to lift the trophy. Instead, they entered the competition with something to prove, and that mindset became one of their greatest strengths. Every match gave them another opportunity to show the football world that they deserve far more respect than they had been given before the tournament started. Of course, much of the attention centered around Erling Haaland. As one of the world's best strikers, he naturally became the face of the Norwegian national team. Many people believed that Norway's chances depended almost entirely on whether Haaland could score enough goals. While he remained a key figure throughout the competition, this World Cup showed something much bigger. Norway was never just a one-man team. They succeeded because every player understood their role and contributed when it mattered most. Martin Odegaard played a massive part in that success. Wearing the captain's armband, he led by example with his vision, composure, and creativity in midfield. Whenever Norway needed to slow the game down or launch a dangerous attack, Odegaard was often the player making the right decision. His leadership extended far beyond assists and passes. He brought calmness during difficult moments and inspired confidence throughout the squad. His performances reminded everyone why he is regarded as one of the finest midfielders in world football today. Perhaps the biggest surprise was how many different players stepped up alongside the team's biggest stars. Andreas Schjelderup delivered important moments, the defense showed remarkable discipline against some of the world's most dangerous attackers, and the entire squad displayed a level of unity that made them incredibly difficult to break down. As the tournament progressed, football fans around the world stopped talking about Norway as a potential surprise and started recognizing them as a team capable of competing with anyone. That change in perception may end up being one of the biggest victories Norway takes away from this unforgettable World Cup journey. One of the biggest lessons from Norway's World Cup campaign is that this team can no longer be defined by just one player. For years, whenever people talked about Norwegian football, the conversation almost always started and ended with Erling Haaland. His incredible goal-scoring record made him the face of the national team, and many believed Norway's success depended entirely on whether he could produce moments of magic. This tournament proved that idea was far too simple. Norway showed they have built a complete team, one capable of competing together rather than relying on a single superstar. That doesn't mean Haaland wasn't important. Far from it. His presence alone changed the way opponents prepared for every match. Defenders stayed close to him, coaches adjusted their tactics to stop him, and every time the ball entered the final third, there was a sense that something dangerous could happen. Even in games where he wasn't scoring, Haaland's movement created space for his teammates, forcing defenses to make difficult decisions. His influence went well beyond the goals he scored because opponents were constantly focused on limiting his impact. Just as important was Martin Odegaard, whose influence could be seen all over the pitch. As captain, he brought composure whenever Norway came under pressure. His passing, vision, and ability to control the tempo gave the team confidence in difficult moments. Instead of rushing attacks, Odegaard knew exactly when to slow the game down and when to play the decisive pass. His leadership became one of the foundations of Norway's success throughout the tournament, and it was another reminder that the team possessed quality in much more than one position. The supporting cast also deserves enormous credit. Andreas Schjelderup continued to show why so many people believe he has a bright future ahead of him. Norway's defenders repeatedly stood up against some of the world's most dangerous attackers, showing discipline, organization, and determination whenever they were tested. The midfield worked tirelessly, winning important battles and helping the team stay compact for long periods. Every player accepted their role, and that collective commitment became one of Norway's greatest strengths during this World Cup. Perhaps the most impressive thing about Norway was their mentality. They never looked overwhelmed by the occasion, even when facing nations with far greater experience on football's biggest stage. They played with confidence, trusted their game plan, and refused to let famous names intimidate them. That fearless attitude earned admiration from football fans around the world. By the time they reached the knockout stage, Norway was no longer being described as a lucky underdog. They had earned their place among the tournament's most respected teams through hard work, discipline, and outstanding teamwork. As Norway continued to progress through the tournament, something remarkable began to happen. They were no longer being talked about as a team that had simply enjoyed a lucky run. Instead, football fans, former players, and analysts started recognizing them as one of the most exciting teams at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. With every performance, Norway earned more respect, proving that their success was built on quality, organization, and belief rather than good fortune. The football world had finally started taking Norway seriously. One of the biggest reasons for that growing respect was the fearless way Norway approached every match. They didn't change their identity because they were facing bigger football nations. Instead of sitting back and hoping to survive, they looked for opportunities to attack whenever they won possession. Their confidence on the ball, combined with their discipline without it, made them an incredibly difficult team to play against. Even when they were under pressure, they stayed calm and trusted the system that had brought them this far. Another impressive aspect of Norway's campaign was their consistency. Many underdog teams produce one memorable result before fading away, but Norway kept delivering strong performances throughout the tournament. They showed the same determination in every game, regardless of the opponent. That level of consistency is often what separates a good team from one that is truly ready to compete at the highest level. It wasn't just one great night, it was a series of performances that demonstrated real progress for Norwegian football. The supporters also played a huge role in Norway's unforgettable journey. Their fans filled the stadiums with energy, creating an incredible atmosphere wherever the team played. As the tournament went on, even neutral supporters began cheering for Norway. Many people enjoy seeing an underdog challenge the traditional giants of world football, and Norway quickly became one of those teams that captured the imagination of fans across the globe. Their passion, determination, and exciting style of play made them easy to admire, regardless of which nation you supported. By the time Norway reached the knockout stage, expectations had completely changed. At the start of the tournament, simply reaching this point would have been considered a fantastic achievement, but after everything they had shown, people genuinely believed they could go even further. That says everything about how much this team had accomplished in just a few weeks. They had transformed from outsiders into genuine contenders, and standing in their way was one of the biggest challenges possible. An England side determined to keep its own World Cup dream alive. The stage was set for a match that would deliver drama, heartbreak, and unforgettable moments from the very first whistle. When the knockout draw paired Norway with England, many people immediately expected England to advance. After all, they were one of the tournament favorites, filled with world-class talent and carrying enormous expectations. But anyone who had watched Norway throughout the competition knew this would be far from an easy match. Norway had already proven they could compete with top teams, and they stepped onto the pitch believing they had every chance to create another unforgettable chapter in their World Cup story. From the opening whistle, it was clear that neither side was willing to give anything away. England controlled more of the possession early on, patiently trying to find gaps in Norway's organized defense. Norway, meanwhile, remained disciplined and waited for the perfect moment to strike on the counterattack. Every challenge was intense, every loose ball was contested, and the atmosphere inside the stadium reflected just how much was at stake. It felt like one of those matches that could be decided by a single moment of brilliance. That moment arrived in the 36th minute, and it belonged to Norway. Captain Martin Odegaard once again showed why he is one of the game's finest playmakers, delivering a perfectly weighted pass into the path of Andreas Schjelderup. The young attacker kept his composure and calmly finished past the goalkeeper to give Norway a stunning 1-0 lead. Norwegian fans erupted with joy, while England suddenly found themselves chasing the game. At that point, the dream of reaching the next round felt more real than ever for Norway. However, England responded exactly as great teams often do. Instead of panicking, they increased the pressure and continued searching for an equalizer. Just before halftime, deep into stoppage time, Jude Bellingham found the breakthrough. His goal brought England level at 1-1 and completely shifted the momentum of the match. Rather than entering the dressing room with a priceless advantage, Norway suddenly faced the difficult challenge of starting the second half with everything to play for once again.
Here's Gordon. That was well done. Into Jude Bellingham. Bellingham with the equaliser. Cometh the hour.
The drama continued after the break. In the 55th minute, Norway believed they had restored their lead after finding the back of the net for a second time. The celebrations, however, were cut short as VAR reviewed the play. After a careful look, the goal was disallowed because of a foul during the build-up. It was one of the biggest moments of the match. Instead of leading 2-1 against one of the tournament favorites, Norway had to accept that the score remained level. Moments like that can completely change the emotional balance of a knockout game, and this proved to be one of them. Neither team managed to find another goal during normal time, sending the match into extra time. Exhaustion was beginning to show, but so was determination. Every player knew that one mistake or one moment of quality could decide who would continue their World Cup journey. Just 3 minutes into extra time, England found that decisive moment. Jude Bellingham once again stepped into the spotlight, scoring his second goal of the night to give England a 2-1 lead. Norway refused to give up and continued pushing forward until the very end. There was even more VAR drama when England was initially awarded a penalty before the decision was overturned after review, giving Norway one final glimmer of hope. But despite their relentless effort, they could not find the equalizer. When the final whistle sounded, England celebrated a hard-fought victory, while Norway's unforgettable World Cup adventure came to a heartbreaking end. When the emotions settle, this defeat will still hurt for everyone connected to Norwegian football. Losing is always difficult, but losing after coming so close makes it even more painful. Norway had taken the lead, defended with incredible determination, and even thought they had scored a second goal before VAR ruled it out. They pushed one of the strongest teams in the tournament all the way into extra time and forced England to fight for every single minute. In the end, the difference wasn't massive. It was simply a few key moments that went England's way. That is often the reality of knockout football. At this level, matches are rarely decided by dominance alone. They are decided by tiny details. A single pass, one defensive mistake, one brilliant finish, or one VAR decision can completely change the outcome. Norway experienced that reality in the hardest possible way. The equalizer just before halftime changed the momentum. The disallowed goal took away what could have been another lead, and Bellingham's extra time strike ultimately ended their dream. Those moments will undoubtedly be replayed in the minds of players and supporters for a long time. Despite the disappointment, Norway leaves this tournament with something incredibly valuable: belief. For years, the national team has been searching for a breakthrough on the biggest stage. This World Cup finally showed that Norway has what it takes to compete with football's elite. They didn't rely on luck, and they didn't reach this stage by accident. Their performances were built on discipline, quality, teamwork, and a fearless mentality that earned admiration across the football world. Even in defeat, they showed they belong among the strongest nations competing at the highest level. Perhaps the biggest victory cannot be measured by results alone. Norway changed the way people see them. Before the tournament, many viewed them as a talented team with a few star players. By the end of their World Cup journey, they had become a respected opponent that nobody will underestimate again. Future rivals will no longer see Norway as an easy draw. Instead, they will prepare knowing they are facing a team capable of matching the very best on football's biggest stage. Sometimes, changing the world's opinion is the first step toward achieving even greater success, and Norway may have done exactly that during this unforgettable tournament. Although Norway's World Cup campaign has come to an end, there is every reason to believe that this is only the beginning of something much bigger. For the first time in many years, Norwegian football isn't just producing one or two world-class players. It is building a complete national team capable of competing with the very best. This tournament showed that Norway has a strong foundation, talented young players, experienced leaders, and a clear identity. Those are exactly the ingredients needed to build long-term success on the international stage. The biggest reason for optimism is that many of Norway's key players are either entering or already in the prime years of their careers. Erling Haaland remains one of the most feared strikers in world football and still has plenty of big tournaments ahead of him. Martin Odegaard continues to develop as one of the game's smartest midfielders, combining leadership with exceptional technical ability. Around them, a new generation of talented players is gaining valuable experience by competing against the world's best. That experience cannot be taught on the training ground. It can only be earned on football's biggest stage. Another encouraging sign is the confidence this team has built throughout the tournament. Every major competition teaches important lessons, and Norway will learn plenty from this campaign. They now understand what it takes to compete deep into a World Cup, how small the margins are in knockout football, and how important it is to stay focused until the very last whistle. Those experiences will make this squad stronger, more mature, and even better prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. Perhaps the greatest achievement of all is that Norway has raised expectations. Not long ago, simply qualifying for a major tournament was considered a success. Today, the conversation is completely different. Fans now expect this team to reach the knockout stages, challenge the biggest football nations, and fight for trophies in the years to come. That shift says everything about how far Norwegian football has progressed. While this World Cup ended in disappointment, it also marked the arrival of a team that the football world can no longer ignore. The journey may have ended against England, but Norway's rise on the international stage feels like it is only just beginning. As disappointing as this elimination feels, Norway should leave the 2026 FIFA World Cup with immense pride. This wasn't a tournament where they simply participated. It was a tournament where they announced themselves to the world. They proved they could compete with football's biggest nations, stand up under pressure, and push one of the tournament favorites to the absolute limit. Those achievements should not be forgotten because of one heartbreaking result against England. One of the biggest changes from this World Cup is how other nations will view Norway going forward. Before the tournament, many teams may have seen them as a dangerous outsider, but not a genuine threat. That perception has completely changed. Coaches, players, and fans now know that Norway has the quality to punish even the strongest opponents. Their organized defending, intelligent midfield play, and dangerous attack earned respect throughout the competition. The next time Norway steps onto the field in a major tournament, no opponent will underestimate them. This World Cup also reminded everyone that success is not always measured by lifting the trophy. Sometimes success is changing the direction of a football nation. Sometimes it's inspiring the next generation of young players to dream bigger than ever before. Across Norway, countless children watched this team compete fearlessly against some of the world's best footballers. They saw players wearing the national shirt with pride, confidence, and belief. That inspiration could have a lasting impact on Norwegian football for many years to come. There will undoubtedly be disappointment in the dressing room after such a painful defeat. That's completely natural after coming so close to reaching the next round. But when the players look back on this tournament in the future, they should also remember everything they achieved together. They created unforgettable memories, earned the respect of football fans around the world, and showed that Norway belongs among the strongest teams on football's biggest stage. This World Cup may be over for Norway, but it could also be remembered as the tournament that marked the beginning of a new and exciting chapter in the nation's football history. Or Norway, the final whistle against England marked the end of an unforgettable World Cup journey. The dream of lifting football's biggest trophy is over, and that reality will take time to accept. Every player, every coach, and every supporter will look back at certain moments and wonder how close they came to writing an even greater chapter in the nation's football history. That's the cruel side of knockout football. Sometimes a fantastic tournament can end in a single night. But if there is one thing Norway has shown throughout this competition, it is that this team belongs among the world's best. They arrived with little attention, few expectations, and plenty of doubters. They leave with the respect of football fans across the globe. They proved they can compete with elite nations, handle pressure on the biggest stage, and play fearless football against anyone. That is a massive achievement and one that should not be overlooked because of one heartbreaking result. Perhaps the most exciting part is that this story is far from over. The core of this squad is still together. Many of their biggest stars have several years left at the highest level, and young talent continues to emerge across Norwegian football. If this team keeps improving, learns from this experience, and continues building the chemistry they displayed throughout the tournament, there is every reason to believe that Norway will return even stronger. The disappointment of today could become the motivation that drives them toward even greater success in the future. World Cups often create unforgettable stories, and Norway certainly wrote one in 2026. They may not have lifted the trophy, but they won something that cannot be measured by medals alone: the respect of the football world. They reminded everyone that determination, teamwork, and belief can take a nation much further than many people expect. Their journey may have ended against England, but the message they sent to the rest of the world was loud and clear. Norway is no longer just a team with potential. Norway is a team that can challenge anyone. What do you think? Was Norway the biggest surprise of the 2026 FIFA World Cup? Could they have gone even further if a few key moments had gone their way against England? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share this video with other football fans, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.